Good morning, students. Again, we are going to see here for pathology section for BSc Nursing second year students, and it is for the cardiovascular chapter. So, we are going to deal here the diseases endocarditis. Endocarditis. The endocarditis is defined as an infection of endocardial surface of the heart. Means here the endocardial layer of the heart will be there. Endometrium, pericardium and myometrium we have dealt. So endocardial surface of the heart will be infected, which may include one or more heart valves, the neural endocardium or septal defect. Means here the one or more heart valve will be affected, neural endocardium layer or septal defect will be occur. Endocardium is classified as two. These are subacute bacterial endocarditis and acute bacterial endocarditis. The subacute bacterial endocarditis, it is due to streptococcal of low virulence and mild to moderate illness, and the clinical course is mild. So here we are seeing that the infections of heart will occur due to endocardial layer will be occur due to bacteria. So if there is a streptococcal flow will be there of low virulence, then mild to moderate illness will occur and the clinical course will be mild and it will cause the subacute bacterial endocarditis. And acute bacterial endocarditis, here the fulminant illness will occur, not mild to moderate illness, but full illness will occur due to Staphylococcus aureus, and it is a highly virulent organism and has a fatal course. So this is also the disease which will occur due to the our streptococcal. The subacute bacterial endocarditis will occur with the help of streptococci bacteria, and staphylococcal will occur in the acute bacterial endocarditis, which is the highly virulent. The next one is the predisposing factor. You can see here what are the predisposing factor which are causing the heart disease endocarditis. These are when bacteria will enter in the blood stream through minor cut or wound and septicemia will occur, then that will how the bacteria will occur during dental procedures like dental surgery. Then streptococcus viridans will enter, then colorectal cancer and surgeries of bowel and biliary tract, and staphylococcal bovis will enter, then urinary tract infection, mostly enterococci, then pneumonia and lung abscess, then drug injection, staphylococcus aureus will occur, then cardiac catheterization and cardiac surgery. Heart conditions like rheumatic heart disease, congenital anomalies like pathology of palate, atrial septal defect, ventricular septal defect, etc. Immunodeficiency and immunosuppressive stress states and malignancy, diabetes, etc. will occur. Then let's see the next thing, that is the main causative agent, means main causative organism needed for the bacterial infection which may cause the bacteria is the bacterial causative organism Staphylococcus aureus and Streptococcus viridans and bovis. Enterococci, then Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and group of bacteria called as HAC. HAC means Haemophilus actinobacillus, Cardiobacterium hominis, and Echinella cordens kinglia. So we have to remember bacteria like Staphylococcus and Streptococcus will be there. Streptococcus viridans and bovis, and Staphylococcus aureus and epidermis will be most commonly seen, in Enterococci and Pseudomonas acrogenosa. Then fungi and viral are also the causes. These were the bacterial causes. Then fungi are the Candida albicans, Aspergillus, Histoplasma capsulatum, and viral infections of the heart. Viral infection and Candida albicans are the most important, which we should remember. Then pathogenesis. In pathogenesis, what happens? The process how the disease are transferred, evolution and all these things. In this, the bacteria may enter in the above mentioned route, means the through dental route or through any other route, and then get implant on the cardiac walls and neural endocardium. So what will happen? Firstly, the bacteria may enter from the above mentioned routes, then they may get implant on the cardiac wall, means entering from the route like Staphylococcus aureus or will enter, and then it will be fixed on the cardiac valve and neural endocardium layer. Then that will be explained follows how the further destruction will take place. Further destruction, when they get implant on the cardiac wall and neural endocardium, then further destruction of previously damaged wall from the heart disease like rheumatic heart disease or due to congenital anomalies, means if there is already occurring the previous damaged walls due to heart disease like rheumatic heart disease or any congenital anomalies of heart, then it will lead to the further destruction of disease, that bacteria which have entered from the above route. Then conditions producing hemodynamic stress on the valves cause damage to the endothelium. Then if the balance between the body fluids is disturbed, so hemodynamic stress will be there. Blood will flow with the large stress, which may cause the stress on the walls and which may cause the damage to the endothelium layer, favoring the formation of platelet thrombi. Platelet thrombi will be occur as endothelium will be damaged and which get infected from circulating thrombi, and then it will circulate through the thrombi. Prolonged stress from bacterial contamination may lead to occurrence of non-bacterial things. Thrombotic endocarditis. So again we are seeing what will happen, means the bacteria like Staphylococcus aureus or Streptococci bovi will enter in from the above mentioned routes, then it will get implant on the cardiac valves and neural endocardium. Then if there is occurrence of rheumatic heart disease or any other congenital anomalies, then this will lead to the further destruction of the previously damaged walls. Then condition will produce like hemodynamic stress on the valves and it will cause the damage to the endothelial layer, and then it will lead to the formation of platelet and which will infect the circulating thrombi. Then prolonged stress from bacterial contamination may lead to the occurrence of non-bacterial thrombic endocarditis. Pathological changes. Now we will see the pathological changes. I hope you have understood the pathogenesis. Now the pathological changes are typically vegetation of verrucae or vegetation of verrucae occur on the neural endocardium layer. It occurs. So typically vegetation of verrucae can be seen deposited on the valve cups and leaflets and less commonly on the neural endocardium. Means the verrucae which will be formed will lead to the deposition of that in the valve thus and leaflet, and then less commonly in the neural endocardium. Vegetations will not occur on the neural endocardium, only they will occur on the valve cup. Then microscopically we will see that here the size of the vegetation may vary and color may be greenish, irregular, single or multiple, typical, tribulus. Means here the size will change of the vegetation, that is few millimeters to centimeter, and color will change from grey to greenish, irregular, single or multiple, typical, variable. And here the mostly in endocarditis only we have seen the mitral and aortic valves are most commonly involved, so they will also be affected, and the adjoining myocardium will show abscess formation. So in endocarditis the abscess formation will also occur because of the vegetations which have been formed there. In the acute bacterial endocarditis will appear bulkier and globular than those of the subacute bacterial endocarditis. Then we will see the microscopically what will happen. This was macroscopically. Microscopically the vegetation consists of 3 zones: fibrin, platelets and colonies of bacteria, and acute and chronic inflammatory cell infiltration. So vegetation will have 3 zones. First one is composed of fibrin and platelets, then colonies of bacteria is there, and acute and chronic inflammatory cell infiltration will be there. Clinical manifestation can be malaise, weakness, fatigue, weight loss, anorexia, arthralgia, night sweat, regurgitant, murmur. Other signs like splenomegaly, lesions like painful raised lesions in hands and feet or oscular nodes, then rose spots under nail bed, pathology on skin, buccal and pharyngeal and conjunctival mucosa. Mostly the weakness will occur and muscle twisting will occur, anorexia and night sweat. The diagnosis is usually established on the basis of Duke criteria and laboratory diagnosis by recognized causative organisms involved. So this can be treated on the basis of diagnosis like Duke criteria and laboratory diagnosis, which will find the causative organism which is involved. Now we will see the pathophysiology of endocarditis. How the pathophysiology means how the disease progresses and it causes the disease. So this is pathophysiology of endocarditis. Risk factors like bacteria or virus will enter into the bloodstream through invasive procedure. I already told that was dental procedure or urinary catheterization or cardiac catheterization. Then bacteria will accumulate on the valves of the heart. Here the endocardium layer and mitral and aortic valves are affected, I already told. Then it will lead to the formation of vegetation. Vegetation formation will be there. Vegetation will be thick, 2 to 3 centimeter thick, and green to greyish color will be seen, and it has 3 layers, I already told, fibrin and protein. Then these vegetations will lead to the damage of heart wall by perforation and deformation of valvular leaflet. Means there will be the damage of heart wall by perforation and valve leaflets will be damaged. Then it will lead to tearing, which means poor flow of blood will be there and accumulation of blood in the heart chambers will occur. It will cause the endocarditis. Now I will show some diagrams of the affected endocarditis. Here you can see the section of heart, especially the endocardial layer. This is the infective endocarditis, and the aortic wall here demonstrate the large irregular reddish tan vegetation. Here also the tan vegetation occurs and it is large and irregular. You can see this red color tan. I told already that vegetation will occur, so reddish tan vegetation will occur, and virulent organisms such as Staphylococcus aureus will produce acute bacterial endocarditis, while some organisms like Streptococcus viridans group will produce a subacute bacterial endocarditis that we have seen already in the classification. This diagram is also of infective endocarditis. Here you can see the layers. The more virulent bacteria causing the acute bacterial form of infective endocarditis leads to serious destruction, and it will lead to serious destruction and irregular reddish tan vegetation overlie the valve cups that are being destroyed. Portions of the vegetation can break off and comes the septic emboli. So here you are seeing that the more virulent bacteria which are causing the acute bacterial form of infective endocarditis are leading to the serious destruction of the aortic wall. So you see the aortic walls are here very much destructive. Irregular reddish tan vegetations already we have seen at the back. These are the in bigger form. Tan vegetations have occurred. So means it will surround the borders. You can see here. Then it will overlie the cusps like mitral wall cusps. These are the chordae tendae and having the cusps are joined. So mitral wall cusps will be surrounded by these, and then they are being destroyed. Portions of vegetation can break off and become septic emboli. So here the portions can also become the emboli. Then in this case also the infection tends to spread from valve surface to adjacent endocardium. Means the infection or tan formation will be from the valves, atrioventricular wall or this, to the adjacent endocardium. Means from valves it will go to the endocardium layer, and shown here vegetation extends on the endocardial surface and the infection is extending to the underlying myocardium. Means here we can see the infections are going from the walls to the endocardium layer, and then it will go to the myocardium layer of the heart also. And here we have seen that the cusps are being surrounded by the tan. In infective endocarditis involves the mitral wall which infective endocarditis involves the mitral wall which is spread into the interventricular septum and all way to tricuspid wall, producing a fistula. In this infective endocarditis, the mitral wall is also affected. As I told that the aortic wall and mitral wall will be also affected. So see how these are spreading in between the interventricular septum, which are separating the right ventricular and left ventricular, and all the way to tricuspid wall is also affected. So a fistula is formed here. See this diagram. What you can get from this diagram: microscopically, the valve in the infective endocarditis demonstrate the friable vegetation, means how the vegetation has been formed of fibrin and platelet pink mixed with inflammatory cell. As I have told that the vegetation formed in the infective endocarditis have 3 layers, in which there is fibrin and platelets also. It will mix with the inflammatory cells and bacterial colonies, which are shown with blue color, and the fibrin and platelet pink are the pink color. The friability explains how portions of the vegetation can break off and embolize. This friability of the vegetation, which are having bacterial colonies with blue and fibrin and platelets pink color, how they can spread, widespread and break off and cause the embolization. And this is the picture of valve, aortic valve, mitral valve. These are the valves. So of the valve, a valve which is infected with the infective endocarditis. The blue bacterial colonies are shown here on the lower left, which are extending into the pink connective tissue of the wall. Valves are relatively avascular, means the walls are avascular, no vessels are there, but these vegetations are formed, so there will be high dose of antibiotic therapy needed to eradicate the infection. As the friable vegetative colonies are spreading, so they are avascular, so antibiotic therapy of high dose should be needed to treat this infection. Then you can see the diagram, the cusp. The small pink vegetation on the rightmost cusp margin represent the typical finding with non-bacterial thrombotic endocarditis, or so-called merantic endocarditis. This is non-infective. It's an example of non-infective. It tends to occur in a person with hypercoagulable state or Trousseau syndrome, apparent neoplastic syndrome associated with malignancy and very ill person. In this type of non-infective endocarditis can be seen in the Trousseau syndrome, where the person is very ill and thrombotic endocarditis will occur. Here is another example of merantic vegetation, non-bacterial thrombotic endocarditis, non-infective thrombotic endocarditis, and on the leftmost cusp, these vegetations are rarely over 0.5 centimeter in size. However, they are friable and very prone to embolize. Means if the vegetations are very friable, then they can embolize and spread very fast. Here the valve is seen on the left, and a bland vegetation is seen on the right. It appears pink because it is composed of fibrin and platelet. It displays about as much morphological variation as brown paper bag. Such bland vegetations are typical of non-infective forms of endocarditis. So here the valve which is seen on the left side, you can see here, it appears pink and it is composed of fibrin and platelet, the vegetation. Then it displays about much morphological variation as brown paper bag. Such bland vegetations are typical of non-infective form of endocarditis. Here you can see again the 10 vegetations are there, chordae, tendae you can see, and the vegetation has occurred. Here are flat, pale, tan, spreading vegetation. These are pale in color. paint color of the mitral wall. When you see the endocarditis, then it will affect the mitral wall also. So they are spreading over the mitral wall surface, and even on the chordae tendineae. These are the chordae tendineae to which the valves are attached. Chordae tendineae. The patient has systemic lupus erythematosus. This vegetation can be on any valve or even on endocardial surfaces consisting of Liebman, Sachs, endocarditis. These vegetations appear in about 4% of SLE patients and rarely cause problems because of they are not large and rarely embolize. Note also the thickened and shortened and fused chordae tendineae that represents remote rheumatic heart disease. Then you can see vegetations like verrucous vegetation, which are seen along the closer line of the mitral wall. Again, the red tan is formed. These variety vegetations average only few millimeters and form along the line of the valve, closer mitral valve, closer areas of the endocardial inflammation. Such verrucae are too small to cause serious cardiac problem. So verrucae is a form of vegetation only. You can see this is the normal heart, external appearance of the normal heart. The epicardial surface is smooth and glistening, and the amount of epicardial fat is usual. The left anterior descending coronary artery extends down from the aortic root to the apex. It will extend from aortic root to the apex, and the aortic valves are shown here. The aortic valve shows three thin and delicate cusps. These are the three thin and delicate cusps. The coronary artery orifice can be seen just above, and the orifice can be seen. The endocardium is smooth, beneath which can be seen a red-brown myocardium. The aorta above the valve displays a smooth intima with no atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is the deposition of fat. We will discuss later. This we have seen that it is a tricuspid valve. Three valves cusps are there, and the leaflets and the leaflets here are the thin and delicate. Vegetative leaflets are thin and delicate, but in tricuspid valve it is in mitral valve it is bicuspid valve. The leaflets have thin chordae tendineae that attach the leaflet margin to papillary muscles of the ventricular wall below. In the same tricuspid valve, also the leaflets will attach with the chordae tendineae, and that will attach the leaflet margin to the papillary muscles of the ventricular walls below. So till here I have discussed. Now the next disease I will discuss in next class.